While I was out shopping, my phone rang with a call from Dob. Answering, I heard Dob's voice, sounding deflated. "Well, what a surprise, you're alive. I heard the house caught fire." "What?" Indeed, I had heard sirens earlier, but never imagined it was my house involved. "I heard a woman got seriously burned." "You okay?" "What? I'm out shopping. There shouldn't be anyone at home." "So it wasn't you who got taken away?" Dob sounded more disappointed than relieved. Dob definitely knows something about this fire. I just had this gut feeling. "I have many questions, but they can wait. I'm going to check on the house." I hung up and started running. My home, meant to be a modest yet warm sanctuary, was engulfed in flames. I can't believe it burned down. I've always held back, but if Dob was planning to hurt me, I'd never let it slide again. Sooner or later, people like Dob are bound to face their downfall. If that's the case, I'll be the one to push him over the edge. My anger is unstoppable. I am Sharon. A single, 40-year-old office worker. Well, perhaps not so ordinary. I'm a big fan of Meriwether, a male idol from Kiss Me Prince. I'm so hooked that I pour most of my monthly salary into supporting him. Meriwether has this younger brother vibe that's very healing to watch. I record all his shows, and for live events, I'm at my computer 10 minutes before tickets go on sale, ready to battle it out. My family and relatives might shake their heads, but this happiness is something only a true fan can understand. As long as I have someone to love, I should feel fulfilled, or so I thought. But now, Clayton, the last of my close friends from college, has gotten married. Looking around, I'm the only one left unmarried. The reality I've been avoiding all this time has finally caught up with me. Overwhelmed, I impulsively signed up on a matchmaking website. And I decided to attend a party organized by the matchmaking site, where I was destined to meet someone special. Wait. Meriwether? A young man who could be mistaken for Meriwether from afar was there. During the mingling time, I made a beeline for him. "Excuse me. You're Meriwether from Kiss Me Prince, right?" He laughed, amused. "People say I look like him, so I've styled my hair and vibe to match." His name was Clayton, 5 years my junior at 35. But youthful enough to pass for his 20s. As a self-confessed idol fanatic, I was completely charmed by Clayton. Clayton seemed to take a liking to me too, and we started dating. He treated me like a fan on our dates, and I found myself falling for him, projecting Meriwether onto Clayton. In hindsight, it was odd that such a desirable man would choose a 40-year-old idol otaku like me, but at the time, I was oblivious. Soon, I received a formal proposal. The proposal took place at a location where Meriwether once proposed to the lead actress in a TV drama. Lost in my romantic fantasy, I accepted his proposal without hesitation. However, just before we were to register our marriage, Clayton brought a high school boy to our date. "Actually, I have a son living with me." The boy introduced as his son, Dob, didn't resemble Clayton much. He was a quiet-looking kid. Clayton is 17 years old. Wearing thick glasses and with unkempt hair. His gloomy appearance was evident as he wouldn't even make eye contact with me. "I should have come clean sooner, but just couldn't find the words. I'm sorry, Sharon." His apology pose, so reminiscent of Meriwether's that it seemed studied, unexpectedly triggered my maternal instincts. "I suppose I can forgive you." We were a completely foolish couple. Then, I overheard Dob muttering under his breath. "Just another wrinkled old lady." I couldn't believe my ears. "What?" It was said so naturally that I wondered if I had misheard. I asked Dob to repeat himself, but Clayton interrupted. "Dob seems happy to have a new mom. Let's get along." Clayton and I then went to submit our marriage license. Since the office was closed, we left it with a security guard and officially became husband and wife. Originally, I lived in a house with plenty of empty rooms, so I decided to have Clayton and Dob move in. To be precise, The rooms weren't exactly empty but filled with merchandise of my beloved. But now, I was going to live with my real beloved. I decided to let the merchandise sleep at my parents' house. It was a significant decision for me. Packing away my cherished Kiss Me Prince goods into cardboard boxes, I made a promise to put Meriwether on hold for a while and focus on building a warm family. I thought the fun times as a family of 3 would begin once Clayton and Dob moved in, but that didn't happen. Clayton, claiming to be busy with work, would stay at the office 2 or 3 nights a week, leaving me and the gloomy Dob alone at home most of the time. Dob continued to avoid eye contact and seldomly spoke. Except for school hours, he barely went out, spending most of his time locked in his room playing video games. Yet at meals, he would mutter barely audibly complaints about the meat being hard or the food not being worthy of the name. While I tolerated his complaints as childlike behavior, his lack of initiative in job hunting or studying while gaming all day bothered me. So, I brought it up with Clayton when he returned home late one night. "What's going on with Dob's career path?" Clayton responded with apparent annoyance. "I'm leaving it up to Dob. He should do what he wants." I mentioned that Dob didn't seem to be job hunting or studying at all. But Clayton wouldn't take it seriously. "Look, Sharon, can't you see? It's late. I just got home. I'm tired. Can you not stress me out with trivial matters?" Despite his fatigue, shouldn't he be concerned about his child's future? Was it strange that I, once a stranger to them, was the only one worried? That thought crossed my mind, but I couldn't voice it further. It was just sad that Clayton, who used to dote on me, now treated me as a nuisance. Then, one day, Dob unusually brought home a girl. She was a quiet girl, wearing glasses, just like Dob. I had thought he wasn't the type to attract someone, but perhaps Dob had gotten himself a girlfriend. After eating and drinking in the living room, they whispered to each other for a while before leaving the house. Honestly, I was the one who felt nervous. Until recently, the thought of becoming a mother hadn't crossed my mind, but now, was I to educate teenagers about sex all of a sudden? I was relieved when they quietly left. I watched from the second-floor window as Dob and the girl walked away side by side. That's when it happened. I noticed a woman glaring at me from over the fence of the neighboring house. The sight was so terrifying that my body froze, unable to move. The woman soon disappeared behind the fence. I wanted to discuss it with Clayton immediately, but he didn't come home that night. Just remembering the woman's gaze from the daytime frightened me, making it hard to fall asleep. Perhaps due to the stress, I came down with a cold the next day. Dragging my heavy body to work, dealing with Dob's complaints, and after managing the household chores, Clayton came home just as I was lying down. I tried to bring up the woman I saw the previous day. But seeing my intent expression, Clayton grimaced. "Is this about Dob again? Got more complaints?" "It's not a complaint. By the way, it seems Dob has got himself a girlfriend." Clayton sneered, looking pleased in a distasteful way. For a moment, his smile, reminiscent of Meriwether, was soothing. Until he spoke again. "That's my boy. The art of roping in simple girls, I taught him well." "Simple girls?" I echoed back, and Clayton hastily corrected himself. "No, I misspoke. Just shared some tips on wooing a girl he likes." Then, he gently tapped my head. "Thanks for all your hard work. I appreciate what you do for me." Being treated this way used to bring me the utmost joy during our dating days. But now, I couldn't shake off the doubts in my heart. Was I considered a simple girl too? Was I being strung along? But for what reason? I'm just a temp worker, neither wealthy nor well off. After Clayton went to take a shower, I rummaged through his wallet as a precaution, but found no suspicious receipts. Still, I couldn't shake off a bad feeling and grew increasingly distrustful of Clayton. And so, I never got around to talking about that woman. The next morning, Clayton had already left for work by the time I woke up. As I went downstairs to make breakfast, I was greeted by the pleasant smell of sausages cooking. something that had never happened since we got married. To my surprise, Dob was preparing breakfast for me in the kitchen. Sausages and fried eggs with salad and yogurt. He had even poured me a cup of coffee. Wow, this is amazing! What's all this for? Dob, avoiding eye contact again, murmured in a soft voice. You're not feeling well, right? Thought I'd at least make breakfast. For the first time, I felt a genuine warmth and care coming from Dob. I'm so happy. Thank you. Embarrassed, or perhaps ignoring my gratitude, Dob shoved the frying pan into the sink. He didn't do the dishes, but it was a start. I'm off to school. With that, Dob grabbed his bag and left through the entrance. Savoring this moment of joy, I sat alone at the dining table and began my breakfast. Let's eat. Any homemaker knows there's significance even in a simple meal prepared for them. I reached for the coffee first, intending to eat everything, but in my excitement, I knocked over the cup. The coffee Dob poured out spilled all over the table. Oh no, I'm such a klutz. Although regrettable, it didn't dampen my spirits. Quickly wiping the table and finishing my breakfast, I felt somewhat lighter. Right, I need to go grocery shopping. And we're out of detergent, too. I'll head to the cheaper supermarket a bit farther away. I walked to a supermarket I don't usually visit. Passing by a fire engine on the way made me feel a bit uneasy. I hoped whatever house it was heading to would be safe. While shopping, my mobile phone vibrated. It was a call from Dob. Answering, I heard Dob's unexpectedly indifferent voice. Well, what a surprise, you're alive. Alive? What was he talking about? As I puzzled over his words, Dob dropped a bombshell. The house burned down. I saw it on social media. What? I did hear sirens earlier, but to think it was my house. Heard a woman got seriously burned. Are you okay? Something felt off. This wasn't the same Dob who showed kindness earlier. His words felt distant, almost mocking. What? I'm out shopping. No one should be at home. So it wasn't you who got taken away? The art of roping in simple girls, I taught him well. Dob must know something about this fire. I felt it instinctively. There's a lot I want to ask, but that can wait. I need to see the house for myself. I hung up and started running, catching a taxi to rush to the scene. When I arrived, the house was indeed completely destroyed. A crowd had gathered in front of what used to be my home. Leighton from the neighborhood approached me excitedly. You're safe, that's good. A young girl in a uniform was taken to the local emergency hospital. Who is she? I couldn't confidently answer the question, but there was one person I could think of who might be the girl in uniform. It was Dob's girlfriend who had visited our house recently. I was stopped by the police, who mentioned they wanted to talk later due to the incident's nature. I got back into a taxi and headed to the emergency hospital. As the taxi swayed, tears began to form. My home, supposed to be a modest yet warm sanctuary, was all gone. I can't believe it was completely consumed by flames. And Dob's attitude on the phone earlier kept bothering me. If his kindness this morning was only superficial, intending to harm me afterward, I would never show leniency again. Sooner or later, people like Dob would face their reckoning. If so, I was ready to be the one to push him. My rage was unstoppable. At the hospital, I tried to inquire about the situation but was denied due to privacy concerns, unable to meet the girl brought from our house. As I sat in the lobby, a woman rushed in, frantic. Where's Bess? I saw on the news she was severely injured. It's okay. The news was incorrect. She suffered burns to her face and limbs, but her life is not in danger. I was startled. I knew this woman. She was the one who had glared at me through the fence that day. Noticing me, she introduced herself with a business card. My name is Chanel. I'm Clayton's wife and the mother of Dob and Bess. I exclaimed in surprise. But I'm Clayton's wife. Chanel seemed to want to explain, but decided visiting her daughter was more urgent. "Sharon, please come with me." In the hospital room, the girl who had visited our house, Dob's girlfriend, lay in bed. Upon seeing me, she burst into tears. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." Comforted by Chanel, Bess sobbed and revealed the whole story. Turns out, Bess wasn't Dob's girlfriend but his sister. She had admired her kind brother since they were young. But some point in time, her brother changed. She said he learned from our father how to wrap simple girls around his finger. After that, he rarely came home. Probably because he was living with me, but Dob told Bess he was living with a convenient woman. Even when he did come back, seeing my brother repeat his misogynistic remarks, Bess wished for the brother she remembered. "How can I get my kind brother back?" she asked Dob, and to that he answered like this. "I want you to set fire to the house of Dad's mistress, Sharon." Bess, swayed by Dob, scouted my house for this reason. That's why Bess had come to my house. After much hesitation, thinking of her brother, she went through with it. But called the authorities immediately after realizing the gravity of her actions. To save me, supposedly asleep inside, she broke a window to enter the house and got injured. "Wait. What do you mean supposedly asleep?" Through tears, Bess answered. "My brother planned to put sleeping pills in your coffee." A chill ran through me. Had I not spilled my coffee, I might not have been safe. Chanel, in a near frenzy, scolded Bess and apologized to me. "How could you do such a foolish thing? You nearly killed someone." "Sharon, I don't know how to apologize enough. It was a lack of supervision on our part. What Dob and Bess did was terrifying." "About that," I started, addressing my lingering doubts. "Dob is legally my child now, right? We submitted the marriage license." Chanel hesitantly took a piece of paper from her bag. It was Clayton's family register. Indeed, Chanel's name was listed as his wife. "My husband had previously deceived another woman in the same way. You and Clayton submitted the marriage license after hours, didn't you?" She was spot on. "Because he's already married, it should have been rejected, but the security guard accepted it after hours. Probably, the office tried to contact Clayton's mobile afterward, saying the license is invalid due to bigamy." Faced with this unbelievable truth, I felt dizzy. Why would Clayton do something like this? Chanel sighed deeply. Her forehead marked with deep lines of hardship. "Sharon, by any chance, are you a fan of Meriwether from Kiss Me Prince?" "My husband is obsessively confident in his resemblance to Meriwether. He completely imitates Meriwether's fashion, hair, and gestures, approaching female fans to cheat and revel in the thrill. He can't be satisfied unless women idolize him like an idol. I've had enough this time." At that moment, the door of the hospital room opened, and a flustered Clayton entered. Seeing Chanel and me together, he had a look of regret. With fiery anger in my eyes, I glared at Clayton. "So we were strangers all along. You said you were staying at the office, but you were actually going back to Chanel's?" Clayton frantically tried to explain, but I wasn't listening anymore. "I'll be filing for damages, including for the house your son burned down. We're not related, so it won't be dismissed as a family matter." I grabbed my bag and strode out of the hospital room. Behind me, I could hear Chanel and Clayton arguing. As I vowed not to let this end here, I went back to my parents' home. Afterward, Dob was arrested by the police. At my request, Bess was not arrested and was able to go home after being discharged from the hospital. Bess's face was left with scars from the burns. The emotional scars inflicted by her brother wouldn't heal easily. She would have to carry the heavy cross of having committed arson. I thought there was no need to punish her further. As for Dob, who showed no remorse, I intended to let the authorities handle him. Dob was about to turn 18. He was likely to be tried as an adult, not protected by juvenile law. While preparing the lawsuit, the doorbell rang. There stood Clayton. Sharon, I'm really sorry about Dob. Can we start over? I want you to be my fan again. Can you give me that energy of liking someone? Can you give me that energy of liking someone? Was a classic line from Meriwether's concerts. The old me would have been swayed, but now it just seemed like a mockery of Meriwether. You're not an idol. Just a 35-year-old man who looks like one. And if you don't realize it soon, you'll continue to embarrass yourself. At my words, Clayton, flush with shame and anger, lashed out at me. What the hell? You've always seen me as just a substitute for Meriwether, haven't you? I can't say I was without fault. But Clayton, having cleverly orchestrated this situation, now acted as if I was to blame. Yes, and I've realized it. You're neither Meriwether nor my ideal prince. Just a middle-aged man full of self-delusion. I slammed the content certification for the compensation claim I had prepared into Clayton's hands. This arson incident is the result of your misguided teachings. You'll take full responsibility. I'll add on the amount for deceiving me, so make sure you pay up. Otherwise, I'll sue you for marriage fraud. Clayton, who had come to plead for reconciliation, was instead faced with a compensation claim and turned away in defeat. Self-centered to the end, Clayton left filled with disappointment. Perhaps frightened by the threat of a lawsuit for marriage fraud, Clayton later transferred the compensation amount, significantly more than the market rate, in one lump sum. This must have drained Clayton's savings completely. I heard that Chanel also divorced him and demanded compensation. For a while, he'll be without money, making it difficult to maintain the idol-like hairstyles and clothes. As for Dob, he was tried as an adult and sentenced to prison. During the trial, Dob's stubborn refusal to show any remorse, blaming the series of crimes on me, seemed to worsen the impression of the jury. As a result, he received a heavier prison sentence than usual. Of course, he was expelled from high school. Dob's misdeeds became widely known in the local community, making it impossible for him to continue living there after his release. In the evening, I bought a number of pen lights and headed to the park. Girls all dolled up were waiting in high spirits, waving their light sticks. Today was the long-awaited live concert of Kiss Me Prince. I dug out the merch I had put to sleep and resumed my fandom. Going to the live with female friends I made in the fandom is now my greatest joy. After all, the charm of having a crush lies in them being out of reach. Vowing never to make the same mistake again, I headed towards the live venue.